Good morning, guys. Welcome to my table of three. Today is Monday, and we're going to talk about Money Monday. My name is Keri.
My name is Anthony.
My husband Anthony is joining me again today. So the last time we talked about Money Monday, we established the reason in two parts as to why we needed a family budget desperately. And so if you have not seen those two videos, I'll put the link to part one and part two below. So check those out. And before I get started, if you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe and that bell icon if you'd like to see more about Money Monday, recipes, Trim Healthy Mama, low carb eating. We'd love to have you here on the channel. So today we thought we would talk about one of our biggest expenses that we had when we decided that we needed a budget, and that is our grocery budget, which I have a glare, hopefully you guys can see. So we were just talking earlier about our grocery budget at the time when we first started, and we identified it as one of our largest expenses next to the house payment and the car payment. So when we were needing to start our budget, when we were struggling, we were spending roughly about $600 a month.
Or plus, 600 plus.
Yeah, $600 plus a month, which, guys, we're just a family of three. And keep in mind also, a disclaimer is that wherever you live, different states are going to have different prices and different things as far as groceries in your local store. So keep it in mind. For us, a family of three, $600, even eating the way we were, low carb, Trim Healthy Mama, which is important to us, was we couldn't afford it, really, basically. So a little bit of background on that. Even before I started working full-time for Hilton, I did work. I babysat for a little while, and I made roughly about $180 a week babysitting some kiddos here in our home. And so we would use that money for grocery money to offset the Anthony's income that he used towards other bills. So we would get paid on Friday, and we would go to groceries usually that evening, I think.
Yeah.
And get groceries for the next week. And that was before I even started meal planning, I think.
Yeah.
So I would just fly by the seat of my pants. So we would take the $180, which may not, again, in your area sound like a lot of money, and it really wasn't a lot of money. But in an aspect of us not being able to afford to spend that kind of money, it's a lot of money.
And then we eat out on top of that.
Yeah, and then correct. And then we would eat out on top of that. So it wasn't even like we were buying $180 worth of food and ate at home the whole time. So eating out on time, probably 2 or 3 times a week at some time before we stopped. So I'm going to set my timer here so I don't overtalk. So that $180 we would for the week, and then a few things. So we did that $180 for a week I think I babysat for about 5 months, maybe 4 or 5 months, and then I had to stop doing that. Anthony's grandma had fell. She needed extra help, so she said, you know, if you'll stop babysitting and come help me with the house and take me around and help me do some things, then I'll just pay you the same thing, because she knew that I couldn't afford to quit my job, but she really wanted me to come help for her, clean her house mainly, and take her around to Walmart, run errands and stuff. So I did that. I ended up stopped babysitting to go help her and take care of her. And now looking back on that, I'm really grateful that I had some of that time with her, because she only lived about a year. I worked for about a year and 3 or 4 months before she passed. So, and she was paying me the same $180 a week. So we were still spending $180 a week, but somehow that wasn't enough, right? We were spending $180 a week eating out, and still somehow we were coming up with, we would go probably a few days before grocery to pick up a few things, because somehow we were running out of food to cook, or not really a food, but we were running out of things to make a complete meal with, I guess.
Right, sure.
And we're going to talk about why. We figured that out why later. So we did that for about, like I said, I'd say about 15 months I worked for Grandma. And then she passed away. And so I didn't work anywhere for a few months. And that's when things really got hard with us. And that's when we realized I have to get a job. We have to start budgeting. And so I went to work at the real estate office. And I was making roughly about the same, $180 every week. So at that time, Anthony said, you know, we're spending $180 a week. We're still not having enough groceries, but now we can't really even afford $180 a week.
So you decided that, let's see what I can do on the groceries.
Right.
And part of the reason that we spent so much money on groceries is because we shopped at some of the normal stores that people shop at, Walmart, your grocery stores, and things are just kind of expensive there.
Yeah.
I mean, used to that was the cheap place to buy groceries, but it wasn't so much for us
in our area.
Right. So,
Go ahead.
anyway, so one of the grocery stores here in town, chain kind of flipped around a little bit, and the prices went down dramatically for a little while, and so we were able to take that roughly 180 and make it stretch for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about that a little bit later as far as why we found out why we were spending too much, but that's a good point. So the 180 we were spending a week, and she's like, we just can't do that anymore. We had to figure out, and I said, well, let me try and figure out a way to make it stretch for 2 weeks, which is terrifying because we had a horrible time making it last for 1 week. So it took a lot of doing, a lot of calculating, a lot of digging, and like you said, we had a chain. It was Harps. I think it's just an Arkansas-owned grocery store, and it had opened some new brand, or rebranded to what they call P.O Box, which is like a cost plus 10%. I think they call it a cost market. So you could go in there, and they had it marked really cheap, and then after you checked out, they added 10% to your bill. So it's even still cheaper after they added the 10%, cheaper than our Walmart and our local Kroger. So we started going from 180 a week to me trying to plan, and the only way I can do that is start planning out meals. Because, so I had to start making a plan. I couldn't just go in there because I was having to pinch pennies and still make sure that we had good food, healthy food to feed us, but now we were only doing $90 a week from 180. So that's a huge jump, and it took a huge learning curve. So we were doing that for a while, and I worked at the real estate office for about a year, and then I got the job at Hilton. And so we were able to increase our budget, but we're going to talk about now. We'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. So the way we cut our grocery budget back, we realized there were certain things we could do that would help us cut that. Like one, we needed to make sure that we moved away from the places that were more expensive in our area, like Walmart and Kroger, although I love Kroger, their produce, because they do have organic produce, and we still shop there now, but at the time we had to find a way, because we would go in with $180 for 2 weeks, and it would be like just meat alone at Walmart and Kroger, takes half your budget. Thankfully, we did have my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they hunt, so thankfully a lot of times we'd be able to save because Donnie and Raya would give us venison and stuff that he hunted, or elk or something like that, so we would stretch our meat with that. And so basically we were able to do it by shopping around, by trying the new P.O Box, is what they call it, P.O Box, that cost plus store. So we were able, that saved us huge.
For a little while.
Yeah, for a little while, on meat mainly, because their best deals were on meat, and sometimes produce too, but I still like Kroger's produce better because it seemed to be healthier and it lasted longer. Not that it lasted a long time because it, was fresh, but so we did that for a while, and then gradually the P.O Box prices went up to where they are today, and it's still better than Kroger and Walmart, but it wasn't saving us as much as before.
Yeah.
So we had to look for alternatives, and thankfully we were able to go just about an hour and 15 minutes, probably about an hour from here mainly, about an hour from here, and we were able to find a discounted grocery store, actually a couple of them, and an Aldi. And you may be thinking, so you're going to drive 45 minutes to an hour to save money? How would that, you may think that gas doesn't make it affordable, but honestly, we waited out for a while, and it did actually save us money even with gas. Because Aldi's, I don't know if you have an Aldi's, you can't always get everything you need at Aldi's, so I still do have to go to Walmart some and Kroger some, but not as much. So we make it work. So the ways that let's jump back just a little bit. So we found out one of the reasons we were overspending is shopping local, which we like to shop local when we can, but it was definitely costing us too much. And once we got that under control, then we still there are a couple other things we could work on. One of them was meal planning, so that we weren't just buying random items and a lot of specialty items that were costing us grocery money, and making it to where we didn't have enough like meat and vegetables and things for our meals for the whole 2 weeks. So definitely starting shopping at Aldi and the discount grocery stores. And if you haven't seen some of my grocery store hauls from back then, from a discount grocery store, you should check those out because they were huge savings. So not meal planning caused me to go in and I would just grab, oh, I'll get this, I'll get this, I'll use this, I'll use that.
Right. A lot of this stuff stayed in the refrigerator until it...
Yeah, which is the next thing we're talking about. So just random items, and then I had to kind of piece together a meal using those random items. And then, you get carried away like low carb specialty items and snacks and things, and oh, I'll get two heavy creams this week or 3 heavy creams because I may use it for that. Yeah, so basically shopping a new place, then that was watching meal planning and shopping for, look at what you have, make your meal plan, then shop for that meal plan only. And then after you get everything in your cart and you have everything complete for your meals, your dinners and your breakfast stuff, then you can maybe, if you have money left, you can use the rest of it to pick up specialty items and snack things and stuff like that. So, and then the third and final thing that we found out was costing us a lot of money was food waste, which Anthony had just alluded to that. That was like, I would buy, it's little things that add up, like a head of lettuce, or I would buy some zucchini to make low carb zucchini bread, or
What would I tell you about lettuce?
Don't buy lettuce.
Quit buying lettuce.
Yeah, because I would have plans for it, but then, since I wasn't meal planning, I wasn't making a plan to use that lettuce. And lettuce is not something we just eat to be eating. We usually have taco salad or have it on bunless burgers. And if I didn't make a plan for bunless burgers or taco salad, then that lettuce sit in there and it would go to waste. And even though it may be only like 99 cents a head, or lately $1.50 to $1.99 a head, then that adds up. So even if it's a couple of dollars, it's food waste and it's hurting our budget because we did not eat the money that we spent. So putting those 3 things together, I really had to narrow it down to making a plan, only buying the things for our plan, and it took me, I think, a long time. It took me several months, if not a year, to get it down to where we are now, to knowing the staples that I buy, the meals that I'm going to buy for, and not wasting anything. Like, I only buy lettuce if I make a plan. Like, for this week, I bought 2 bags of lettuce, because we're having a salad today with roast, and we're having fajitas tomorrow, fajita salad, and so a bag of lettuce for that. So that won't go to waste because and it was marked down too. Thankfully, I found it marked down to $1.80 for like a bag of different kind of spring mix and stuff. So that's the 3 things, the major things that were costing us money. We were just overspending basically. And you guys know how expensive it is. If you're trying to do a low carb, trim healthy mama diet, it really does take a lot of focus. And going to multiple stores, I know you guys don't like that, or some of you guys don't like that. You like one-stop shop, so I can totally understand it. And if that works for your budget, then more power to you. I definitely understand not liking to go grocery shopping or put it all away. So grocery pickup at Walmart, a lot of people do everything in their household and their grocery budget there, which I can understand. But for us, in order to get all the food that we needed and to budget for our meal types that we needed, we had to find alternatives and go. And even today, we go to at least 3 stores every 2 weeks and to buy groceries. Yeah. Now, since I started at Hilton, we'll go ahead and tell you our grocery budget now is $235 every 2 weeks. Which may sound like a lot. I think it breaks down to about $117 a week, which is not as much as we were at the 180, but it's a little bit, but it's still a little bit more than when we were doing $90 a week. But we found that sweet spot. That's what we budget for, so we're able to get plenty of healthy food to fit our eating style, to help us lose weight. And we've even got it down now to where we can have snack items and stuff. Now, granted, the first week you have tons of stuff, and the fresh items go first, like Nate's grapes and stuff. But I've got it down to a science now by going to Aldi and sometimes our discount store, but one of our favorites has closed. So we lost that. So now I really have to be careful when I'm going in to the Aldi and to Walmart and all that to pick up what we used to get the thing. But right. So we've got it down to a science, I would say, almost.
And I'll add this too, that even now, sometimes we will shop in town, like we shopped in town last grocery trip. Mm-hmm. And we really, you know, in Aldi, you can go through and start picking stuff off the shelf and kind of have a rough idea that you've got everything you need and you're still within budget. But if you go in town, you just can't do that.
Right.
You start picking stuff off the shelves, and next thing you know, you've got $100 spent.
Well, like at Kroger, you guys saw my grocery haul from the last 2 weeks. I mentioned we had a lot going on. We couldn't go out of town, so we shopped at Walmart and Kroger. I did my first Walmart pickup, and it really is amazing as to the volume of food you can get at the stores that we shop at now compared to our local places. So yeah, that's helped a lot. Shopping around, even driving. It saved us. Now, the only expense to drive in, of course, gas, but we budget for that, is we do eat out on that day that we shop, which eating out we'll talk about probably, maybe next week we'll talk about eating out and how we, but anyway, that's our one expense, gas and driving out. But even with those two expenses, we still save enough money to have enough food and enough fillers for 2 weeks now at that $235.